this going to work?
It has to. Steady. Now!
Hey, this is Aurora Folks from The Nocturnal, and today we are virtually sitting down with Demetria McKinney, who plays Anacostia on Freeform's Motherland, Fort Salem. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Doing good, thanks.
We're kind of twinning today.
Yeah, I was like, we're definitely twinning. I love that. See, great minds.
Nice.
So I really just wanted to start out getting into your early career. So in the beginning of that, you worked with the multi-talented Tyler Perry and starred in a few of his stage plays. This includes Why Did I Get Married? And you also starred in his hit show, Tyler Perry's House of Pain. Mm-hmm. So you've gone on since then to star in a number of movies and hit shows. But when you first started out, you mentioned that you hadn't even taken an acting class. To what do you attribute your success like that?
I can't really say that I know. I think that chance and fate and faith and all that stuff definitely plays a part. But I think the other part of it is I've always kind of been in touch with emotion. I don't run from it. I embrace it. I confront it. And that's really what I think the core of my acting style is just emoting what's there, you know, trying to be as honest and as realistic with whatever is on the page. The other part of it is I think that the writing that I've been blessed to work with, you know, especially in Motherland, Fort Salem, Elliot Lawrence, I don't know how his synapses fire, but they're amazing. So when you have somebody who writes amazingly so that you can see everything so vividly, it makes it really easy to just kind of pour yourself into those shoes, you know? Right. So I think that's kind of been the thing. Now, that's not to say I don't want to take any courses. I definitely want to. I understand the importance of it and all of the skill that I have yet to learn. But yeah, I think that's it.
Well, I think that's amazing. Even just to get your start and to work with, of all people in the beginning, Tyler Perry, that's just a great way to segue into that career, especially with no prior acting class experience. Yeah.
Well, the other thing is we were kind of all learning together. You know, he was a newbie in the Hollywood realm, in film and television, and we were moving very unorthodox because we didn't know any better. And I think the bliss in that ignorance is really what kind of propelled us all to be able to be so successful.
I see. And speaking of successful roles, possibly, your past roles have been really illustrious thus far. You've played everyone from Whitney Houston to Coretta Scott King, Dina Jones, and now your latest role is June Pointer in American Soul. Yeah. Out of all the roles that you've played thus far, which one did you find maybe to be like the most challenging?
Oh, hands down, Whitney Houston. Yeah. Out of the roles that I've played where I was portraying somebody that people have known or seen and loved, right. Whitney got me through. She never met me. I always wanted to, but I've always had an admiration for her gift and the woman that she was, you know, and getting into this, when I auditioned to be Whitney in the Bobby Christina biopic, I was like, yes, I get to do this. I get to pay homage. And then after a week, I was like, no, I should have never done this. What am I doing? Because that's when I realized I wasn't playing Whitney, I was playing Nippy. And I was getting to feel a little bit of what was beyond the velvet rope, what was beyond the gowns and voice, like getting down to the grizzle of who this woman was, right. And realizing that in her humanity, she was beautiful. In her flaws, she was beautiful. And in all of that, she was a lot misunderstood. And then the reality that everybody was going to be watching this and everybody had their own perspective of who she was. Like, it was just a whole heap of reality checks for me. On top of just really wanting to do a good job in paying tribute to somebody that has truly influenced my life. So hands down, Whitney Houston scared and blessed me at the same time.
I can definitely see that because that's such an iconic role to take on, and everyone knows who Whitney Houston is. So that had to have been a challenge on its own, which you and dominated. So you did a great job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But speaking of that role, are there any roles that are just like your dream role to play, someone you haven't played yet?
I think that is the dream role. I think it's a continuous evolution into that, you know. If I really just sat and thought about everybody I wanted to play, I'd get so stuck in that I feel like I'd miss the opportunity. Like Anacostia, she's the person I'm getting to that I never thought I wanted to until I wrote her, until I saw her kind of fleshed out on paper. And I'm truly, truly reveling in everything that she's been and is, and she empowers me in so many different ways and teaches me a lot. So I'm looking forward to everybody I have not gotten to play yet.
I love that. And just looking at your past resume, undoubtedly anyone can coin you as a triple threat since you starred in a multitude of musicals, television shows, and absolutely sang on your debut album, Officially Yours.
Thank you.
But your journey hasn't started out exactly as a cut and dry experience. I remember you mentioned that you grew up in a military family and you had to move around a lot. Can you describe what that experience was like for you?
Oh man, it was good and it was bad. I have friends who can say, yeah, this is my childhood friend. We've known each other since the third grade and we grew up together and we went through high school together and this was my role model. I can't really say that. I mean, I have siblings and things like that, but moving around so much, you literally had to learn to adjust to a lot of different types of people, area, mindsets, all of that type of stuff. But I think that definitely prepared me for what I'm able to do now. Traveling to Vancouver and doing something like Motherland with a cast that is so diverse. I mean, like Amalia's from Sweden, Lynn's from Belgium, Jessica is from South Africa. Like just all of these different places coming together under this one umbrella. I was prepared for that because I've actually had to travel and make those kind of adjustments.
Right.
Getting to live in the Philippines, speaking Tagalog, all of that stuff, that was pretty cool. But then when I came back, like I spoke that more than English. So kids were kind of mean. Wow. It was like I would say stuff like, open the lights. And they tore me up. Like, oh, no. They let me have it. So, there was a lot of learning curves, but I think the ability to adjust quickly is the biggest gift from it.
I can see that, but that also probably aided in your experience, which is actually leading to my next question. And what type of ways did your background and growing up as an Army brat play into your current role as Sergeant Anacostia?
Oh man, I remember I got the audition, and it was a self-tape, and I was like bummed because I was like, "Yo, you don't get this kind of work off of a self-tape. Many actors know, it's like you want to be in the booth, you want to be able to get the notes from the casting director, like try it like this. Maybe if you did that, because you have a better chance."
Right.
I'm sitting there, and again, Elliot Lawrence's mind, it's an enigma. I was just looking at this page, and I'm like, I know her, and I don't. Like, my mother is retired as a master sergeant in the Air Force. So that militant nature, that strength, that ability to be so stoic and stone-faced, I got that since I was growing up. Like that was at age 3. Like I know what that looks like. I know what that feels like.
Right.
And for a long time, that was a big part of a gap for us because I was so affectionate and always craving that nurturing part of her. But being a single mom, she got a couple of kids, she's trying to make it happen. Now, the other side was I became a mom. I'm a mommy. Mm-hmm. And figuring out how to discipline my son with the same tenacity as my mother, but with the love that I wanted was something that I wanted to bring to Anacostia. I didn't want her to be nobody's pushover because, we strong as all get out, you know what I mean, in the Army. But at the same time, I wanted her to have a side that they could lay on. I wanted them to have a space where they could feel safe within her care. Mm-hmm. And that was what I really wanted to pour into this. So yeah, it definitely, all my experience growing up in the military family. I remember we were filming, it was late, it had been a long day, and I'm usually up on my lines. Jessica actually reminded me of this. And I had this line where I'm yelling at Sims, buck up, you are in the United States Army. I'm like getting it. And I'm thinking about how my mom would have said it. And I go, Sims, buck up, you are in the United States Air. We're in the Army. Like, you get into those spaces where you just really remember and you feel and you're living. Right. And it really transcended me into where my mother would have been. So that's kind of how I got Anacostia together.
That's actually a really great background to have, even just going into that type of role. I feel it really gave you a lot of things to pull from personally. And I actually even read a quote by you. You said that when you got the script for Anacostia, and when you looked at her, you knew her from the time that you were born.
Yeah.
And you related to her as your own mother, who, like you said, was I'm a master sergeant in the military. Can you talk to me a little bit about that experience as well?
My mother is a strong-minded woman. She's always been that. My grandparents used to tell me all the time. She was going to do what she wanted to do and suffer the consequences for them because they were her choices to make. And And so I've always admired that about her. But as I said before, that strength, that determined nature that she had sometimes wouldn't allow for, hey, mom, I want to talk about boys. Hey, mom, hey, mom, this hurts a little bit, And I, I learned a lot about what her love language is because of Anacostia, having to walk in those shoes and knowing that I really did have a deep admiration, love, respect, but that protective nature was my love language.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to accept within myself that the love language I was giving them was protection, was shelter, was the tools that they needed to survive. And that kind of mended a lot of things for me with the relationship that I had or didn't have with my mother growing up. So this whole experience, the two marrying together, has been not only enjoyable on the aspect of, my career and seeing the audience reaction to it, but it's also filled in some gaps for me so that I can go and I can say, okay, I may not have done it the same way, but now I have a better respect and understanding of it.
It seems almost parallel to the relationship between Petra and Abigail, like that kind
Yes.
of tough love type of love that they had for each other and they showed throughout the show.
Without question.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of this, the relationship between certain characters, I've really enjoyed seeing Anacostia's growth throughout the series. There are lots of layers that were peeled back. We especially see a change in your character when she's forced to follow a really questionable command from the general during Operation Drop. So yeah, what do you think about the relationship and what might it come to be in the coming season, since you are renewed for season 2?
Hallelujah for that, first off.
Yes.
I think that now that we see the threads being pulled at the relationship between Anacostia and Alder, Anacostia is having to come into her own in a different way. She's always been very strong, but she's been strong in loyalty. She's been strong in blind faith. This insidious type of behavior that Alder has kind of had is starting to fester. And the danger, I was talking to my manager, we were talking about the word insidious, which is why I wanted to throw this new word out. The reason it's so dangerous is because it creeps in and you don't see it coming until it's too late. And I think that the things that she's been doing over the years, yes, she's had to make some tough calls, but I've been kind of able to rationalize them. These last few and the intention behind them is what kind of starts to scare Anacostia. We may be doing the wrong thing at the moment, but it's for the better good, it's for the right reason. And this is what I can see as a fruit of that labor. She's having a hard time really coming to grips with that. So in the future, I think that Anacostia is really going to take the bull by the horns, that bull being herself. She's been the right hand. She's been the enforcer. She's in the room with other generals and she's just like, yeah, I'm here. What y'all saying? Nah, huh? I don't agree with you. That's stupid. She's always kind of been there, but she's been there on Alder's behalf. She's starting to use her own mind. She's starting to form her own judgments. And I think we'll see a lot of that play in season 2.
Well, we definitely have. I feel like she's kind of separating herself almost from that kind of role that she had when she was like the right-hand man for General Alder. Especially in the final interrogation scene between her and Scylla, we see the two kind of form a bond, especially over the story about their parents. So much so that she makes kind of, I would say, like a haste decision. Can you talk about what was happening in that moment and how this might affect her going into the future?
Anacostia's wit is something that was so attractive to me. She can bite you but make you laugh at the same time. She's very much a player of chess versus checkers. You're not going to see what her motivations are until the end. With the finale scene or the episode, Anacostia is in there really playing mind games without magic. She's that powerful. She doesn't have to make you feel like you're eating crushed glass. She doesn't have to necessarily delve into you. She had enough of the human nature within herself that she knew how to bore into Scylla without ever having to touch her. So her ability to open herself up in order to gain what she needed, she was playing her. She was definitely gathering information, but she was utilizing those commonalities so that she could find the spree. And I absolutely loved that aspect of her, where not everything has to be brute force. And mind you, she asked Alder to go this route. We can do this. We can try this. Alder has gotten a little bit arrogant.
Yes.
Alder's gotten very, very comfortable and very power hungry, seemingly at that point. So when she gets to the point where she's making the decision to release Scylla, she's not doing that to release Scylla, but in order to let herself into where the spree is. And I think that that juxtaposition was really, really cool how Elliot wrote it. We were talking about it as it was coming along, and I was like, "Oh, that'd be crazy!" Because I'm so, I'm so opposite and counter of Anacostia. So to see her be able to actually step outside of the confines of loyalty to that was so exhilarating for me. And for Scylla to fall for, y'all thought Scylla got her. No, she got Scylla.
Right, definitely. I love that because it's like she's kind of like one step ahead of the game and always kind of switching it up. So you can't sleep on her. That's for sure.
Sleep.
So,
they woke.
Yes. And speaking of the future, you all, like I had mentioned earlier, you recently found out that Motherland Fort Salem has been renewed for season 2, which is really, really awesome. So I want to say congrats to that.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. And in your opinion, what do you feel gives Motherland its edge and sets it apart from other shows?
Oh, wow, that's an awesome question. I think Motherland has its edge because we've given the edge of the sword to somebody else. A lot of times the general is the strong masculine figure. The president is the strong male. Men are the more sexual beings. Men are fighting the battles. Women can't be vulnerable and strong at the same time. The LGBTQ shouldn't be so proud and shouldn't be so out and shouldn't be so free. This whole flipping of what we know and this reclaiming of everything that is powerful to a woman without diminishing anything else for anyone else is, I think, what makes this thing so strong. It's inclusive in a whole different way. It's otherworldly. We're combining magic with reality. I remember we were filming and this crew worker, he was part of the lighting team. He said, I was mowing my lawn. There was a party going on down the street. Somebody's balloon floated over my house and I had to stop for a minute. Like, we're making magic real. Like, a couple of my friends, they'll sit and they'll watch the episodes and they're like, girl, my man made me mad. I wanted to seed sound him because da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Or I wanted to see if this sound could really be made by a human being. Just combining the magic with humanity, with love, with pain, with war, with fear, with triumph. I think it's just such a great and very smart way of putting everything on a different axis. And that's what's drawing everybody in. Like, fans have been so for it. They're really falling in love with the characters and everything's been fleshed out so well.
I agree. Definitely comfortable. Even though it's the first season and it's just concluded, we're kind of starting to see some ends being tied. But that as it has concluded on a huge twist at that, which I was kind of like, what is going on? How satisfied are you with where Anacostia has ended up thus far, and where would you like to see her go moving into season 2?
I am so very, very elated at where Anacostia is. There were times where I'm reading and I'm like, gosh, I hope she sees this. Man, I hope she gets that. Why is she so hard on Rael? Right. I really had to dig deep to figure out the psychology that was Anacostia. And what I'd like to see in the future, I'd like to see more of who she was. I'd like to take that journey back because she was a fosterling. Her parents did pass away, but how did Alder decide that this is who I'm going to take under my wing? Why is this relationship so important to Alder that this is the fosterling out of everyone else that you're going to make your right hand? Why do you trust her so? And then on top of that, I can't wait to see, I want to see Anacostia fight. I want to see her thug it out for real. Like, get up there. Oh, you didn't know? What we learned. That's what I want to see. I want all of it. I want the beginning. I want the end. I want to really, really see her a little bit more vulnerable even, because I think that as she's starting to reveal her love and her trust in other ways, it's making her stronger and it's making her more ready to fight whatever is up ahead.
Definitely. I can totally see that. And just obviously you can't reveal the events of the start of the next season. I don't know if you guys got a peek maybe at the script. I don't know if you have yet, but I know you can't say anything. I know you can't. But can you talk about maybe your reaction to seeing what the script might look like for next season?
I think it's going to be just like the very first time we were all on set. I can't tell you. Empowering women is something that I've always wanted to do, regardless of the platform, whether it was the plays, whether it was reality television, whether it was my daily walk of life. If you see me on social media, I'm not throwing nothing up there that's gonna make us look crazy. I'm fun, I'm playful, but I'm about my business. I love hard, I play hard, I work to win. And to get in a space where this man and this network in free form has found a way to bring women from all areas, all mindsets, different age groups, different sexual whatever, and just really unite us. Yo, if I could just capture that feeling that we had the very first time we actually sat and read the script together, because we did table reads before every episode. And afterwards, you just see the tears, because it's like, oh my gosh, this reality is something we want. We want this to be our possible realm. You know, we see what this could be like. A woman president ain't such a bad idea after all. You know, it's just like you get a chance to aim higher. And with the writing of season 1 going into season 2 with these kind of cliffhangers, I can only imagine that it's going to be just such a renewed sense of WTF and thank you at the same time. Like,
Ooh, okay.
how it's just I can't, my heart is so full just thinking about being reunited with everybody back in that space, telling these stories. And I mean, a large part of that is because of the fans. You know, you can see something and think it's great, like, you know, I ain't gonna lie, I had my son and I was like, yo, somebody talk crazy about my baby, we fighting right now.
On
And
site.
this has become our baby. And when you
Right.
present it, you're very, very vulnerable and you're open to whatever interpretations people want to give. And people have been loving on our baby. So thank y'all for all of the support and for taking the ride with us and just really, really diving in without precaution.
I love that. And it's definitely gone so far. And we're really amped to see what's going to happen. I am for sure. And while we're just beginning to scratch the surface of Anacostia's journey and the welfare for cadets, which right now probably has all the fans just like losing their minds, especially after the last episode in the season.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what you would love the fans to take out of this show?
Be who the FF you want. It's ironic because today, Freeform released, that's the hashtag that they're working on today. And I think it's just such a powerful statement. You're not telling them who to be. You're not making light of who they are. You're not diminishing what they want. You're just saying, be whoever you want. And I think this show shows you that. You know, there are no limitations except the ones that you place on yourself. I was talking to some kids, shout outs to the Thunderbirds up in Chicago. And I was like, you know, with everything going on with bullying, with everything going on with social media and, you know, all that type of stuff, the ability to have your self-esteem and the ability to be proud of who you are, whatever that is, however that comes about, is a choice that we all have to make. And seeing these young ladies make those choices each and every day as they're learning, as they're growing, even with the setbacks that they may encounter, is empowerment within itself. Be who you want to be. Go for it.
I love that. And I think that's a great theme to carry on throughout the show. And I love that that's something that the network is actually putting together now. I love that. That's really great. It's great to put out there, especially now.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate that so much. And it was great talking to you.
Thank you. Thanks for being my twin today.
Yes, twins.